Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. How are we all today? Um, I have a really fun packed stream for us. So we're gonna go over more of day 3 of the Melody Walker Ferris trial. But I'm also going to play um I am also going to play a short video from court or from crime court, crime and court with Tia. I'm so sorry, Tia. Um, and it's going to be all of Amanda Ferris's testimony, um, dropped all into one shortened video. But the reason why I am showing that is because I think the outlook on Amanda Ferris's testimony is really interesting. Um, I can entirely see where people have gotten this idea of Amanda Ferris that seems much more sinister than it possibly could have been intended. I apologize. Amanda Ferris came off at times very um overly excited to be helping. I don't know. It was weird. Her relationship with her mom, and the dynamic of it was very strange throughout the trial. And this kind of gives a little bit better of an idea of that. Give me just a second. My children are getting into something that they really shouldn't be getting into, and I'm not entirely sure what it is. Okay, I don't know what kind of popcorn my children believe that they're eating, but it's an awful lot of noise coming from my downstairs. I apologize. My kids are very mischievous today, and they have also been very argumentative with each other. So today's been a fun day. The joys of kids and them not having much to do um, today. It's really getting to them. They're having to be creative. Oh gosh, how dare I allow my children to be bored for a day? Um, but without further ado, I am going to queue up our video for today regarding Amanda Ferris. And then we will go into the continuation for day 3. Without further ado, here we go with a short video about Amanda's testimony and some of the odd comments and reactions that Amanda had in phone calls and in her testimony.
The insurance money or the other money, everything giving you power of attorney to do anything for me. And I do not have a problem with that.
Yes, me and only me.
Do
None of those other kids. I just said me and only me, none of those other kids.
Yeah.
I know. Sherry tried to hug me as we were leaving. That didn't go very well.
Yeah, I never did. He told me do not look back that direction. So.
No, they were all there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is Christmas got there?
Right. Yeah. Dressed in suits. Acting like somebody.
Oh. Is Emily there?
Yep. Looking like hell.
Do what?
She looked terrible.
She pregnant?
Nope. Looked like she needed to eat about 10 burgers, to tell you the truth.
Oh, wow. Wonder
Yeah,
who had
it
a
was
lick
terrible. She was crushed because he wasn't there because he was a worn out prisoner. Well, probably, I mean, I'm sure he doesn't want to step foot in the courthouse, but you know, she didn't have her there.
Today we're revisiting some of the jailhouse audio recordings between Melody and her daughter Amanda. Now, I want to say this, and I've said it before, if I were Amanda's husband, believe you me, I would sleep with one eye open. I wouldn't allow her to be friends with older ladies who own guns, and there's no way I'd allow a burn pile on my property. With that said, let's look back at last week, when we heard Amanda's testimony. In my opinion, she came across as self-righteous. She presented herself as a saint, even telling the jury she's completely different from her siblings, steering clear of family drama and all about staying out of her father's money matters. She painted this picture of herself as someone who just valued her relationship with her dad without ever being interested in what he could offer her financially. Amanda's testimony was all about her wedding, her unique behavior, her distinct personality, her Christian faith, and a lot of crying, which I still question. Was it genuine emotion, or were we just watching a performance? What struck me was that the way Amanda portrayed herself on the stand, as the perfect daughter and almost saint-like figure, is very different from the Amanda we hear in the jailhouse calls with her mother. In those calls, there's a noticeable shift. She sounds almost giddy, with a tone of excitement when discussing the power of attorney that she and only she would hold over her father's estate, leaving her siblings out of it. I could be wrong, but Amanda didn't sound like a nice person in those recordings. She seemed overly thrilled, even smug, about the control she and her mother would have over the finances. Now logically, I understand why Melody might appoint someone to hold power of attorney, given the situation she's in. That part makes sense. But Amanda's reaction to it felt really off-putting. This is just one example that shows how similar Melody and Amanda truly are, a connection that even came out in court. Melody herself mentioned that she and Amanda are practically the same, and we even know that when Gary was alive, he said they were like twins. Amanda also claimed on the stand that she never asked her dad for money. But then there are these text messages between her and Melody, where Melody is furious that Gary was willing to pay for a beach trip with Chris, but not for Amanda's dental work. This really raises questions about Amanda's claim of being uninterested in her father's money. In the next clip, we hear a jailhouse call between Melody and Amanda, made after Melody's court appearance following her arrest. In this call, Amanda has some pretty negative things to say about her siblings. She mentions how Chris and Scott wore suits, making a point to throw shade on them for showing up to court dressed respectfully. In my opinion, this is how men should show up for court, in suits. And the fact that they did shows a level of respect for the proceedings. Did Amanda The criticism Amanda levels at her siblings just shows her true colors in these calls. All of this paints a very different picture of Amanda than the one she painted on the stand. During her testimony, she wanted everyone to see her as the perfect daughter who doesn't get involved in family drama and has no interest in the family's money. But these calls tell a different story and really seem to contradict her claims. What does this all mean in the bigger picture? For me, these jailhouse calls are a reminder that what someone says in court doesn't always line up with how they actually behave. Amanda wanted to portray herself as a person of integrity, but her behavior in these calls suggests otherwise. Her tone, her words, and even her excitement about controlling her father's estate all hint at a different side of her.
I have to say I agree a lot with Tia. um, Amanda showed a lot of excitement about having that power of attorney. She showed a lot of excitement about being the chosen child on this. And while, yes, Amanda did paint Melody in a good light. I don't overall feel like Amanda's testimony, though, really helped her mom. It really showed how self-centered Amanda can be. And if they're supposed to be able to be so similar to each other that they're seen as the same person, then how does that reflect on Melody? Um, you know, Amanda came across as very saintly, almost as if she's trying to portray herself as this infallible creature, and that's why, she was trusted to handle her, you know, mother's affairs with the um, power of attorney and stuff like that. And it's very off-putting. If I was a juror, I would ultimately have felt that Amanda really didn't do her mom a whole lot of favors um, on the stand.
It makes me wonder if the Amanda we saw on the stand was just a fake version of who she really is. Now, these contradictions matter, especially in a case where family dynamics and motives are such a huge part of the story. If Amanda is willing to play this kind of double game, showing one side of herself to the court and another in private, it calls into question just how genuine she is. It also makes me wonder how much of this situation was influenced by her relationship with Melody. Their bond seems deep, almost to the point where it blurs the line between right and wrong. The fact that Gary himself said Melody and Amanda were like twins says something. It's as if Amanda has taken on more than just her mother's mannerisms, she's taken on her mindset. So I'm left with some questions, and I'd love to hear what you all think. Do you think Amanda's testimony was a performance, or do you believe she genuinely meant what she said on the stand? How much do you think Amanda's relationship with her mother influences her behavior and beliefs? Finally, does hearing these jailhouse calls change your opinion of Amanda and her role in this case? And this brings us to the end of today's video. Thank you for watching, take care, and stay safe.
So I know that that wasn't super long. Part of the reason why I wanted to show it was just to show a different side of Amanda. I know a lot of people felt like Amanda was very helpful to her mom, and I just see that differently. Um, I see that as Amanda did more harm to her mom's case than good. Um, but ultimately, that's just me. Um, let's hop into some more of the testimony from one of the leads on the case from day 3. Again, we had left off with this detective um, kind of basically letting everybody know where the ball was dropped and with who the ball was dropped. All right, Dimitri, please leave the dog door alone. No, sir, I would like it open for Bear to be able to get in and out, please. Thank you. Well, if you and your sister would please stop playing on the stairs, Loki would stop trying to get through it, please. No, thank you, Dimitri. Please leave it open, and you and Sissy please stop playing on the stairs. Sorry, everybody. I am trying to get an 8-year-old to listen. Um, but let's get on with day 3.
Bedroom door open and
See how I use an ad blocker. Very mindful, very demure.
I'm not watching ads like the rest of you. But when I do, I get paid for it.
So 5 is when the master bedroom door is open and the basement door is closed. What was that, the 2 readings for that?
For test number 5, the resting sound was 57.6 decibels with a max sound of 109.5 decibels.
And then the next shot, the 6th shot, master bedroom door open and basement door closed, was that?
The resting sound was 46.6 decibels with a max sound of 127.8 decibels.
And then the next reading?
For test number 7, the resting sound was 56.4 decibels with a max sound of 111.4.
Can you give us the next one if you would?
Yes, sir.
You can just go through them until it changes.
For test number 8, the resting sound was 49.5 decibels with a max of 127.5 decibels. Test number 9, the resting was 40.1 decibels with a max of 109.9 decibels.
It appears on the 10th one, the master bedroom door is open and the basement door is open too.
Yes, sir.
And I guess that's how it is until you close it out. What are those?
Yes, sir. So for 10, 11, and 12.
Right.
For test number 10, the decibel reading for resting was 46.6 decibels with a max of 108.7. For 11, the resting sound was 54.4 decibels with a max of 127.5 decibels. And then for number 12, the resting was 54 decibels with a max of 127 decibels.
And then 13 and 14, with the master bedroom door closed and the basement door open. There are no videos for these, but what were the readings that he had?
For 13 and 14, the resting was 40.1 decibels with a max of 124.8. And for test number 14, the resting was 40.1 with a max of 127 decibels.
CMO 7, Calypso 1. 13 seconds. CMO 8. 32 seconds. CMO 9. 33 seconds. I'm going to back this up so that the middle of the recording. You need, for the screen, where you're actually looking at the device itself, the read device, it has some sound levels. Can you just tell us what the low levels are and the high levels?
Specifically for this device, I'm not sure. I know for...
I just want, what's on the...
Oh, theirs, they set their low is 30 to 100 decimal meters, so that's their range when they have it on low setting. These were all set to high setting, as indicated in their reports with a max hold. So their high setting ranges from 60 to 130 decibels, and so they have their plus or minus, and the read device plus or minus is 1.4 decibels.
CMO 10. About 23 seconds. CMO 11. About 2 minutes and 32 seconds. CMO 12, about a minute 53. CMO 13, the last one on the list open. About a minute 22.
I'm ready. I need you a half step left. There. Perfect. You good, Gene? Gene? You good?
Yeah, very good pencil. Stand by. 3, 2, 1. That's right.
Now let's go to Matthew McMullen's readings. The first one, sound meter in the master bedroom, the gun in the living dining room area. There's 4 readings there. All the doors are open. The first 2, 1 and 2 doors are open, master bedroom. Then the third and fourth, master bedroom door closed. Give us those readings if you would.
Yes, sir. The resting sound for test 1 was 14.7 decibels with a max of 97.9 decibels. For test 2, the resting sound was 14.7 with a max sound of 109.2 decibels.
And then the third and fourth are with the door closed?
Yes, sir, the doors were closed. The resting sound for test number 3 was 14.7 decibels with a max sound of 92.2 decibels. And then for test 4, the resting sound again was 14.7 decibels with a max sound of 93.1 decibels.
And then shots 5 through 14, I think the sound meter is the master bedroom, the gun's in the basement. Let's see, 5 and 6, and the master bedroom door open. What are those readings?
The resting sounds 14.6 decibels with a max of 77.3 decibels for test number 5. Then test number 6 had a resting sound of 14.6 decibels with a max sound of 77.9 decibels.
7 and 8, master bedroom door is closed. What are those?
The resting, again, 14.6 decibels with a max sound of 63.6 decibels for test number 7. Test number 8, the resting sound was 14.6 decibels with a max sound of 66 decibels.
9 and 10 looks like master bedroom door open. Well, what are those?
The resting sound was 14.6 decibels with a max sound of 65.5 decibels for test number 9. Test number 10, the resting sound was 14.6 decibels with a max sound of 67.2 decibels.
Here's that 11 to 12 shots that weren't recorded, no data on those, but the 13, 14,
Yes,
master
sir.
bedroom door closed. What were those readings?
The resting sound was 14.6 decibels for test number 13 with a max sound of 54.9 decibels. And then for test number 14, the resting sound was 14.6 decibels with a max sound of 57.8 decibels.
This is McMullen for CMO 14. First one's 10 seconds. CMO 15, 6 seconds. CMO 16, 8 seconds. CMO 17, 8 seconds. CMO 18, 23 seconds. CMO 19. 6 seconds. CMO 20. 10 seconds. CMO 21. 7 seconds. CMO 22. That was 7 seconds. CMO 23. That was 8 seconds. CMO 24. That's about 16 seconds. CMO 25. About 9 seconds. Now, turning to the, I believe, the sound meter is going to be with Officer Dakota Smith in the apartment and the guns in the main house. Is that now where we're going to Scott's apartment?
Yes, sir.
All right. 1 through 6, the shots there with the refrigerator on. Give the jury, if you would, and so it looks like it's the same reading for all of them.
Yes, sir. So they had the refrigerator turned on, and then we did it with the refrigerator turned off. So the first 6 tests for these, the refrigerator is on. 4 shots, 1 through 6, both the resting and the max decibel recording reading for all 6 was 40 decibels.
And then shots 7 through 14, doesn't look like there's any data for the 14th shot, but with the refrigerator on, give us the readings for Smith's recordings 7 through 13.
For 7 through 14, the refrigerator was turned off for those. So shot 7, the resting and the max was 35 decibels. For 8, the resting and max was 39 decibels. For shot 9, the resting and max was 39 decibels. For 10, the resting and max was 36. For 11, the resting and max was again 36 decibels. For 12, the resting was 35 decibels, but the max was 47. And for 13, the resting was 35 decibels, and the max was 47 decibels.
This is CMO 26, Smith's first one. It's about 5 minutes and 17 seconds.
Clear.
I'm just going to stop us pretty much like that. The rest of them, we're going to stop right at 3 minutes and 20 seconds. No objection from the defense.
All right.
And we'll go to CMO 27, which is Smith. I guess this is with the refrigerator off. And this one is sort of the 10 minutes, but I'm just going to move ahead to about 1 minute mark. So we'll play for a little bit. Skip ahead to about 3 minutes. Stop recording CMO 27 for about 5 minutes unless the defense wants to end.
All right. So done.
And then finally, let's move to the last one. Richard Ricketts was taking a reading down. He was at the front gate and the gun was at the main house. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And it looks like they're, let's give the readings 1 through 14. What do you have?
I have 1 through 12 for Sergeant Ricketts.
Right. No data for 13, 14?
Correct. For test number 1, the resting sound was 55.2 decibels with a max of 61.9 decibels. For test number 2, the resting sound was 57.3 decibels with a max of 62.5 decibels. For test number 3, the resting was 48.9 decibels with a max of 53.7 decibels. For number 4, the resting was 51.3 decibels with a max of 58.7 decibels. For test number 5, the resting was 54.2 decibels with a max of 68.9 decibels. For number 6, the resting sound was 48.9 decibels with a max of 66.7 decibels. And for number 7, the resting sound was 59.7 decibels with a max of 74.6 decibels. For test number 8, the resting sound was 55.2 decibels with a max of 63.2 decibels. For test number 9, the resting sound was 68.4 decibels with a max of 73.7 decibels. For test number 10, the resting sound was 57.3 decibels with a max sound of 65 decibels. For number 11, the resting was 58.4 decibels with a max of 66 decibels. And for number 12, the resting sound was 57.2 decibels with a max of 65.3 decibels.
This is CMO 28. And it's about 9 minutes and 45 seconds.
Okay, so I do just want to mention real fast that while there's not a whole lot that I can say here, I do want to point out that while they are noticing some changes in the decibels, and while it's not huge changes, if you pay attention on the video, you can't really tell entirely what is making those changes. Um, I do know that I could faintly make out when they would shoot the gun when they were in the house in some of those, but a lot of times you would see the decibels coming down, which is why I said I wish that they would show the individual readings for those ones versus like just when it went down. I wish you could see the spikes in those. Um, But even in this most recent one, while we're outside, all you hear really is the airplane, and while you can make out that it's clearly some sort of aircraft, it's much more faint than if you would have been standing there, in person. Um, we all know what an aircraft sounds like when it's in the sky, but we also know that it's usually just a little bit louder when it's not over video that you're hearing it. Um, so I really just wanted to point that out because I feel like it's really hard to get a good idea of how much noise you're actually hearing based on these videos. Um, and so it's not a good representation, but it is a fair representation of really how difficult it would be to hear some of these things when you can barely make them out on a video recording too. Um, so back to day 3.
2, 1, stand by, stand by. All units, 3, 2, 1, shots. Record your data. All units stand by. 3, 2, 1, shots fired, shots fired. Record your data. Close the measure door. Measure door closed. All units stand by, stand by. 3, 2, 1, shots fired, shots fired.
Prior to Contrave, my eating habits were horrendous. It wasn't until I found a nurse practitioner and her saying, well, let's
Record your data. All units stand by. 2, 1, shots fired, shots fired. All units stand by. 3, 2, 1, shots fired, shots fired. All units stand by. 3, 2, 1. Record your data. All units stand by. 3, 2. All units stand by. Shots fired, shots fired. Dakota, Trent, y'all come back over to the main house.
And some of those shots where doors would be open, not open, is that right?
Yes, sir.
No further questions, you know.
Good time to break. All right, we'll take a short break.
Okay, so a lot of those shots barely registered, and it could have been the talking on the radio as well, but I did notice that like the last couple did register on the video camera, which shows that those were probably louder. I'm going to say that those were probably the ones that were done with the doors open. I'm sure that doors being shut would kind of muffle some of the sound a little bit. I'm going to skip through this break here and then we will get back into day 3 trial testimony. I am so sorry that this is such a dry part. Again, unless you're like an audiophile with an interest in ballistics. But we are just going to trudge through. This part won't last too much longer, I don't think. I think they take their lunch break right after his testimony is finished.
I want to buy your house. I can pay you cash for your house, no matter what condition it's in. If
talking to you again about the presumptive blood test and things like that. So just to clear up, regarding the RTV and tractor with the Blue Star, the only thing that you can testify to this jury that based on your training and experience, based on the Blue Star fluorescence, is that it is mammal blood, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that's on the RTV and the tractor?
Yes, sir.
Anywhere you find Blue Star?
Anywhere Blue Star is deployed.
But you would agree with me that you can't definitively say it's human blood.
Correct.
And you can't definitively say if it is human blood, whose it is.
Correct.
But you could determine those things if it was swabbed and sent to the crime lab.
Yes, sir.
Now, I can't remember from your, Mr. Focus's direct examination of you, with the, how long you had done this. It's been a while though, right? Been a CSI.
Yes, sir.
How long has it been?
Since 2010.
2010, so when did you leave the sheriff's office?
2021.
2021, so by the time we got to 2018, you'd already been doing it 8 years.
Yes, sir.
And I assume you had done hundreds of investigations.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, during that time, during that 8-year period, had you ever taken any samples from a home, such as cut out drywall?
Yes, sir.
Cut up carpet?
Yes, sir.
Taking carpet into evidence?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever taken it out of the home or the business you were investigating, taken it and sent it to the crime lab?
Yes, sir.
Have you taken it back to your lab and tested it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So it is possible that, for example, you recall that the stairs leading to the basement was carpeted, correct? In this case?
I believe they were both carpet and wood.
Yeah, carpet and wood. So that carpet could have been either taken up as a whole or cut out sections if there was believed to be blood on it, correct?
Correct.
Okay. To the best of your knowledge, was there any gunshot residue swabs taken on any of the people?
I don't recall if it was done prior to my arrival.
Okay. Fair enough. I'm going to kind of bounce around a little bit because the gunshot audio testing and the crime scene investigation, something occurred to me, okay? So just let me know if I confuse you.
Yes, sir.
All right, so first off, and I know it wasn't you, but you're the one testifying about it, so I got to ask you, whose idea was this to do this testing?
Former ADA employed with the judicial circuit here.
Okay, former assistant district attorney.
Yes, sir.
It was not Ms. Frankish or Mr. Focus.
Correct.
Okay. So y'all got your directives from the DA's office to go perform this specific type of testing?
Through the case agent, yes, sir.
Okay. I'm just going to show you what you already watched, the CMO1. I'm not going to play the whole video here. But we're looking at the ballistics dummy, correct?
Yes, sir.
Is that something that your department provided?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And it's wearing, so we've got the dummy here, and we've also got a ballistic bulletproof vest on, correct?
Correct.
All right. Who made the decision to put the dummy where it is in CMO1?
I don't know, sir. It was not I. It wasn't me.
Wasn't you?
I don't know how they determined placement of the mannequin.
Okay, that's fair enough. Who was in charge out here when you were there?
The DA's office and the case agent.
DA's office and would that be case agent Detective Hayes?
It would have been him or Sergeant Westbrook, whoever's in charge at that time. I was just there to witness.
Okay, no, I ain't blaming you.
No.
Who, but was Westbrook there?
He was.
He was, all right. Hayes was there.
Yes, sir.
Was the ADA there?
Yes, sir.
But yet again, not Miss Frankish or Mr. Focus.
Correct.
All right. So all of those people are there. So you're just there doing your thing. Fair enough?
We provided the ballistic vest and the mannequin you see.
And the mannequin. Okay. But you didn't have anything to do in placement?
No. I just attempted to make it as testing as uniform as possible.
Okay. And it's wearing that bulletproof vest so that the bullet doesn't pass through the mannequin.
Correct.
And that firearm you're using is a .38 special?
Yes, sir.
Who provided the firearm?
The sheriff's office.
And this is just out of blatant curiosity. Is it a deputy's private gun, or the sheriff's office just has an assortment of guns for this purpose? Or
It's Was through the training department. The training unit has different firearms.
Okay. Now you'll also notice, and this is where you may, I'm bouncing back and forth, okay, between July 5 and 6, 2018, and July 2019 when you're doing this, okay? So let me know if I confuse you. So we can see in CMO1 that you've got the rug here, and that's where the dining room table was, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, and y'all have moved the dining room table, and, you know, you've got the, I don't know, the knickknacks and stuff and the dishes over there. All right, so y'all moved all that stuff. So what I'm gonna show you is Thrasher 55. When you got out to the scene to do the audio testing, is this how it looked in, I'm sorry, it's Thrasher 84. Is that how it looked?
I don't recall us moving any furniture.
Okay.
The residence was as it was when we arrived.
Okay. But you can see from here, the table's not there, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the table had been moved.
Correct.
Okay. Now this rug. So this rug is here on the July of 2019, right?
Yes, sir.
And when Ms. Thrasher took this photograph, July 5th of 2018, the rug's still there, correct?
Yes, sir.
All righty. And as you'll recall, being the lead crime scene technician, there was some presumptive blood found up here where the mouse is, kind of on the edge of the rug at the top, which leads downstairs, correct?
Correct.
All righty. So this rug, if it's here in 2019, this rug wasn't taken into evidence, correct?
Correct.
All righty. Nor was any of those, what it looks like to be a silk chair. None of that was taken into evidence or, to your knowledge, even reviewed for any possible blood spatter. Because you didn't do it.
Correct. I did not do it. No, sir.
And did you review any of the other crime scene technicians' reports prior to testifying today?
Prior to testifying today, no, sir, I did not.
Have you reviewed them in the past?
Back closer to the incident, I'm sure I've read them. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Do you recall anything on any of those reports that this rug or these silk chairs being examined for presumptive evidence of blood?
What do you mean by presumptive?
Any evidence that there was any blood on this rug or these chairs?
Okay, so we have a difference of word. Are you asking if we tested for the presence of blood?
I'm asking if they even looked for it.
I don't know how to answer that because I don't want to put words into CSI Thrasher or CSI Eckert's mouth.
Sure, I'm not asking you to do that. I'm asking you if you know if they reviewed, examined the rug and these chairs for any evidence of blood.
Again, I don't know how to answer that because I don't want to make an assumption. We are taught we look for blood stains, blood spatter. If we don't see any, we move on and move down the road. To question her methodology while she's taking her photographs, I would not feel comfortable making an assumption. We are taught during our initial walkthrough to look for that stuff.
Okay. So is it fair to assume then that if they didn't find it, that it's not there?
Again, I don't want to make an assumption or put words into CSI Thrasher's mouth in regards to that.
Okay. Now, you also placed the ballistics dummy downstairs, correct?
Yes, sir. We brought it downstairs.
While you were there, do you recall who made the decision to test it downstairs?
Again, we were getting all our direction from the ADAs there.
Okay. Do you recall them actually moving it downstairs?
Well, we had to move it downstairs to perform the test.
Well, I know. That's why I asked if you recall them moving it downstairs.
Yes, sir, because we went downstairs.
All right. Let me just... So... You recall from being downstairs that around this chair there was an ottoman, correct?
Are we talking about 2019 or 18?
2018.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is obviously the basement, and the dummy's been positioned around where that ottoman was in front of the chair. It's a little dark because they don't have the lights on the left-hand side of the video, right?
Yes, sir.
Right. And so presumably somebody at the DA's office made the decision to place the dummy where it is, around the place of that ottoman.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just 1 second, sir. Was there ever any conversation while you were out there? First of all, how long did this take? I mean, the videos are approximately 40 minutes. Is that how much time it took to do this, or did it take a lot longer that we're not seeing?
It took longer for setup, movement, getting everybody in position, ensuring that everybody's in position, probably about 2-3 hours.
Okay. And there was no testing placing the dummy at the burn pile, correct?
Correct.
And there was no testing placing the dummy in the barn?
Correct.
And so, since there was no testing putting the dummy there, there's no audio recording of shooting the dummy in those locations, right?
That is correct.
Okay. No further questions.
Okay, Director.
All right, you step down.
Just be on call.
All right, go to the next witness.
The son of the state calls Ricky Collett. Ricky Collett. You just go stand behind the chair and swear you in and sit down. Raise your right hand, please. You solemnly swear affirm the evidence you're about to present in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, sir.
All right, go ahead and have a seat. Thank you for being here today. If you tell the jury your full name.
Ricky Collett.
Where do you work and what do you do, sir?
I work for Cherokee County Fire and Emergency Services, and I'm a battalion chief.
In Cherokee County, is law enforcement and the fire department, are they separated?
Yes, sir.
I know some counties they're combined into both are in the same house. How many firefighters and things like that do we have in Cherokee County?
Right now, I think we just have approximately 400 firefighters.
And what level of service does your department provide to the county?
Yes, sir. We pretty much provide an all hazards department, from taking a person to the hospital in the ambulance to swift water rescue, dive, hazmat, search and rescue, in your normal assisting citizens off the floor, to again take them to the hospital, to house fires.
How long have you been working as a firefighter?
I've been a certified firefighter for almost 35 years.
And how many people do you supervise, or how many things do you actually control and manage?
Yes, sir. As battalion chief, I oversee 9 fire stations, and there's approximately 40 to 45 personnel that I oversee directly.
What made you get into this line of work?
I remember in the middle 80s, 1980s, there was a tornado that came through our community, and as just a young teenager riding through, looking at all the destruction, I saw firefighters out in the middle of all the rain and the wind. I'm like, that's where I want to be, right there.
And then the whole time?
Yes, sir. I just want to be a help.
And do you enjoy it?
I love it.
What type of specialties or specializations do you have under your belt? What do you do?
Yes, sir. Of course, I'm a certified firefighter. I'm a paramedic. I'm a certified dive instructor. I help oversee our special operations teams. I'm an assistant to the special operations chief. So I have specialties in hazmat, rope, of course, dive and search and rescue.
and that's what I want to talk to you about today. Tell the jury, if you would, what kind of dive team or dive squad that we have here in the county.
Yes, sir. So Cherokee County, we have, over the years, we started with a volunteer dive team, and we've transitioned to pretty much a fully staffed career, what we call career, our firefighters on duty dive team. We have, of course, Lake Allatoona is our main body of water here in the county. So our divers are trained as what we call public safety divers. As just an ordinary person, you go to the dive shop, you get an open water certification, and then once from there we progress to what we call public safety divers, so more intense. We dive in basically hazmat dry suits where we stay dry while we're diving, full face piece. We have underwater communications, and we search on a rope or a hand line that's connected to a person on the shore.
Have you been called out before to assist law enforcement in investigation of a criminal matter?
Yes, sir, we have.
Outside of this case, other things?
Yes, sir.
Is it usually to retrieve evidence or look for evidence?
Yes, sir.
I want to turn your attention now, I believe, July 6th of 2018 and July 7th of 2018. I believe you and your squad went out there for 2 days to 2155 Purcell Lane, the scene location in this case. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Up on the screen in front of you, you probably see it as Aerial 3 exhibit. This is the pond on the property that we're talking about, right?
Yes, sir.
If you would, tell the jury what this pond, what it was like when specifically about the bottom and how that is maybe different from other type of water you've been in before.
Right. So generally, smaller ponds like this, we pretty much know there's no visibility. So you're basically what we call blackwater, zero visibility. I often describe it as diving in chocolate milk. Sometimes you can see some light, but you can't see the hand in front of your face. So when we dove this pond, anything below 2 feet deep in the water, there's hardly any light, and there was about 3 inches of silt on the bottom of the pond. So when we searched, we're having to search by feel.
What's the bottom like? Was it? What type? If you could compare it to something like a natural lake or a natural pond, what was it like?
It was just what we call a silty bottom. It's very soft. Same as about 3 inches from where the top of the silt to the hard bottom was in the water. So it's not like if you go to Lake Allatoona, we have the hard clay bottom. It's not like that in the ponds.
Is the bottom of this pond, this water here, is it so that it was so muddy that things could actually get down and you couldn't find it? It'd be very difficult, or what was this one like in comparison?
Compared to what we dove before, it wasn't that difficult. It wasn't. There was a layer of silt, but it wasn't so deep it was hindering us from searching.
On July 6th, that Friday of 2018, it looks like y'all were there from about 12 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Is that about right?
Yes, sir.
And then you came back the next day, July 7th, that Saturday. Looks like you're there from about 9 o'clock in the morning until about 6 o'clock in the evening. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Were they long days?
Yes, sir.
Tell the jury what you actually, when you got out there, what you were tasked to do, and then we're going to look at some pictures, but tell us what you did.
Okay, so as being the dive team leader I met with the sheriff's office, and I think it was at the time Captain Pinion. He told us that he would like for us to search the pond. We were looking for a weapon in the pond, and that he would like for us to conduct a thorough search of the pond. Of course, it was summertime. It was hot, so I assembled our team together and briefed them on what our objectives were, and we started our day diving.
And the assignment, the pond, the lake, the body of water is less than a half acre. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And then the division, how did you divide? I guess it was 7 areas to do a systematic search?
Yes, sir. Just the way the pond is laid out and the way we conduct our search. So in order for us to conduct a thorough search, I just broke the pond down into smaller sections. using just some of the natural trees and the areas of the pond. So to make sure that we had a thorough search of the pond, we just break it up into smaller sections.
And when you would do something like this, do you want to have a control or supervision to make sure that your people are actually searching systematically and find things? Do you use any type of control, or in our world we talk about a widget, but you probably call it assault, I think is what you call it.
Yes, sir.
Tell the jury about that. How do you do that?
Okay, so when we were tasked to search the area, there's a quality control thing that we use. We'll take if we're searching for something small like a weapon, we had a couple pieces of pipe with an elbow, so it kind of resembled the shape of a gun. And that day we had 3 of them, and I believe I gave it to one of the investigators, and to throw out into the pond wherever they seem fit to throw it. So I gave it to I think it was the investigator, and they threw 3 of those into the pond. So that when we're searching the pond, we want to find what we call the salt, just to ensure that we are doing a thorough search of the pond.
Were you able to look at some photographs that we had and that you provided relating to your department, also the actual search that day?
Yes, sir.
Were those photographs fair and accurate photographs involving things in this case?
Yes, sir.
Judge, this time I tender to evidence State's Exhibit, call it 1 through 6.
No objection.
All right, we're good. All right. So this is your symbol for the fire department?
Yes, sir.
And then you have, how big of a unit is the dive team? I see you have looks like a vehicle. How many people work in it?
Yes, sir. We usually keep around 12 active divers.
And then call it 3 here. There's a photograph here. What is this?
This is when I was conducting an open water, your initial dive certification to get you up to public safety divers. So this is a class I was teaching for on-duty divers.
And the things that everybody's wearing, is that what you would wear during the actual search in this case, or is it something different?
It's similar, but we wear a little bit different. What I'm wearing there in the picture is called a wetsuit, where actually water is kept inside the suit. What we dive is a dry suit, so we're completely dry. I could dive in this and come out just as dry as I am now.
And up to this exhibit, the 4th exhibit, these are things that are not related to this case, just things that you have with your agency. Is that right?
That's correct.
5, same thing, just showing pictures.
Yes, sir.
6, also training exercise. Where was this at?
That's in Williston, Florida, at Blue Grotto Dive Resort.
Now here, call it 7. This is from the actual day that you went out.
Yes, sir.
And this is a picture of just along the fence line?
Yes, sir.
And you had a picture you took showing the way the pond looked that day when you did this?
Correct.
No issues with weather, wind, anything like that?
No, sir.
Let's call it number 9 here. Just kind of showing the stillness of the pond before you guys go in?
Yes, sir.
And then 10 is looking back up to the house. Is that right?
Correct.
All right. 11, what is this?
Okay, that's our salt. That's what, when we gave that to the investigators, he threw it out, 3 of those out into the pond, and we retrieved all 3 of them.
12 here. I guess y'all set up some tents and whatnot, and what we're doing here.
Yes, sir. So this is kind of our little rehab section where you see the diver there. He's in our dry suit, what we call our rig, the tank on the back. He is our 90% diver. We have 3 divers: a primary, the person who's in the water. Then we have a backup diver. They're usually in the water at the surface in case something goes wrong with the initial diver. And this diver here would be what we call a 90%. He's 90% dressed. He doesn't have on his mask, so that's all he would need to put on and be able to enter the water.
And then 13, I apologize, my number is off here, so this is 13. Any objection, please?
No objection.
Okay. 13 here, what do we have here?
That looks like I'm talking to Captain Pinion there. That's, again, that's our rehab area and just a staging area for our equipment.
And 14, what do we see? Is there a line? Did you have your divers hooked up to a line?
Yes, sir. So there's the diver in the water. That the person you see in the water is our backup diver. I can tell that because of the line that you see near the diver in the red there. You see the line, there's knots in the line, so I know that line is going to our diver in the water that you can't see, and the one floating at the surface is our backup diver. Yep.
Same thing, 15 here?
Yes, sir, same thing.
And then, is that the suit that was used?
Yes, sir.
16.
That's a suit and a Carlson board that we use for searching shallow water that he's carrying.
Just to perfect the record, the state has call it 1 through 16, and I tendered those into evidence without objection. That's my understanding.
No objection.
All right, they're admitted. How, when you do the search, how slowly and methodically is the diver going?
So he's going very slow when we're looking for a target or something like that. He's going very slow because he's having to go by feel. He's got, and it's more of a crawl on the bottom of the lake than it is a swim or a dive. He's connected to a rope from the shore to the diver, so he's holding on to the rope with one hand, keeping it tight, and he's going back and forth with his other hand searching the bottom. So it's very slow, very methodical.
Are you confident that the pond will search systematically?
Okay, now I do have to give this commander some credit because he does a very good job of explaining how the dive team is able to look through the pond, but I'm actually a little surprised that they're not using some sort of underwater camera to look. I feel like that would probably warrant a better view than doing it by feel. So while I'm sure that they have done this systematically, it still makes me wonder how much stuff could have really honestly have been missed. What do you guys think?
Systematically and thoroughly?
Yes, sir, I am.
And did y'all find any gun?
Any gun? No, sir.
Yes. Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right.
And that was Battalion Chief Collette?
Yes, sir.
I'm John Luke Weaver, and I represent Melody Ferris. Nice to meet you, sir.
You too.
Just a few quick questions, primarily because I'm curious. In doing this, did you find the salt guns, all 3 salt guns?
Yes, sir, we did.
Okay. And did you use any technology? For example, I like to go fishing. I like crappie fishing. I call it crappie. And I use a Lowrance fish finder, which kind of shows the bottom of every lake I go to.
Yes, sir.
Did you guys use anything like that?
No, sir, we didn't.
All right. Do y'all ever use any kind of sonar technology or anything to map the bottom of whatever body of water?
We do.
Okay. Why not in this case?
Because it was such a small pond, sonar is not going to pick up a small metal target like that. And we don't have a good way to launch our boat because it's a fairly large boat. It's just going to be a slow, methodical search. Typically, we only use sonar if we're trying to find a truck that's underwater or maybe a body underwater, something larger. But our training is we've never been able to find anything small like that using sonar.
Full coverage for just $39 a month? Seem too good to be true? It isn't. If you haven't checked your rates recently, you're probably being overcharged for auto.
Did you guys use metal detectors?
Not at the time, we didn't.
Okay, now can you use metal detectors
We do
underwater?
now. Yes, sir.
All right. So that's something that's been implemented maybe even because of this case?
Yes, sir. As other times that we search for the sheriff's office, we've used metal detectors, and so we started using those now.
Okay. How long did it take you guys to go over this pond?
I think we were there a total 15 or 16 hours.
I'm going to ask you this question, just realistically.
Yes, sir.
You know, you've changed a few things since you did this search. You guys, number one, it's amazing to me what y'all can do because I get very claustrophobic and I can't scuba dive because of that very reason. So you're down there and you said it's like chocolate milk?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But is it possible that there's a gun still in that pond to this day?
I feel very confident we did a thorough search of it, and I feel like if there was one there, we would have found it.
Okay. But yes or no, it's possible?
Anything's possible.
Okay. That's all I have, Judge.
I really have to say, I give the defense credit for saying what I was thinking with that one. You know, I really feel like they truly could have, sorry, my house just got real crazy because my husband's up and getting ready to go to work. But I really feel like this still could have been missed and that there is still a possibility that there is a gun at the bottom of that pond. But I could be very wrong.
Judge, I just have one. We're just going to do the hot cross.
Oh, yeah. We had it.
Ah, yes. You want to play it? That's fine with me. Judge, we're going to play a video. It's not very long. They want to play this video, so we'll play it here. And that's call it 17. It was 39 seconds. Attend to that too.
No, Jay.
All right. It's all good.
All right, can you sit down?
Yes.
All right, you may be excused. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Steakhouse Terry fries. Oh, Judge, may we approach?
All right.
Terry fries. Yes, sir. Raise your right hand. You solemnly swear affirm the evidence about to present in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you God.
I do.
All right, Mr. Braswell, did you ever expect yourself to be here testifying in a murder case?
All right, so pay a lot of attention to this because I feel that the text messages that they talk about with this neighbor can be very telling. I feel that these text messages did not bode well for Melody Ferris in a lot of ways. And I feel that this is one of those key moments for me where I found that there was reasonable doubt, but the messages really showed that there was a chance that she could have done this.
Guys,
No.
if you would, I'm going to try to relax you a little bit in this. And if you can, just tell the jury how old you are.
How old I am?
Yes, sir.
I'm 68.
And Mr. Braswell, don't give us your address or anything, but do you live in the county?
Yes.
And how long have you lived here?
43 years.
And what do you do as your occupation?
I'm a grade contractor.
How long have you been doing that?
All my life.
And part of that, what type of work is it that you actually do? What all things do you do for the
I
business?
used to do a lot of residential stuff. I usually just work on horse arenas now.
And when you do that, what type of machines and stuff do you use to do it?
Bobcat, farm tractor.
Do you have a big business? Do you own it?
Yeah, I own it. Mhm.
Do you have a lot of employees?
No, one, me.
Just yourself? Where in the county do you live? Don't give us your address or anything like that, but where in the area?
Off of 372 Birmingham Road.
And do you know the defendant, Melody Walker Ferris, here in court today?
Do I know her?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And do you see what she's sitting in today, the type of clothing she has on? And she's sitting here at the table with the defense counsel?
Mm-hmm.
And how long have you known her?
Probably since 2016, maybe.
How did y'all first meet?
Her and another neighbor were walking that lives closer to her, and they walked out the little road by where I live, and I was cutting grass. And the other neighbor that I knew, I'd done a lot of work for her, and they stopped and just got talking, and she introduced me to Melody.
And is that Sherry Cooper?
Yeah.
Did you know her? Did you know her Sherry? Is that what you knew her by? Did you know Sherry Cooper by Sherry or Sharon?
Sherry's all I've ever known her by.
And where was she from?
Minnesota, maybe.
Not from Georgia?
No.
Okay. Different accent than you?
Huh?
She had a different accent?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Not like my accent, but just not a Georgian accent. Right. And about how long did the three of y'all kind of interact and know each other?
They walked and, we'd just see each other, see them at the restaurants. They'd go to eat at the restaurants. And my youngest daughter went and played with Melody's grandkids when they were in town.
And you were previously married?
I was. Yeah.
And your wife has some issues with, I guess, drugs a little bit?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And you kind of adopted her daughter?
Right.
And raised her?
Right.
And so how many children do you consider you have, including your youngest that you raised too? How many?
Well, I got 2 of my own and her, so 3. Yeah.
But she's your daughter too?
Right. Oh, yeah.
Y'all close family?
Yep.
Now, do you remember back in July, I think it was around July 7th of 2018, Detective Kuykendall and Detective Pope from the Sheriff's Office came out and talked to you?
Mm-hmm.
Were you expecting them to come and talk to you?
Figured so,
When did you hear about something happening to Gary?
I guess it was that day or the day before, maybe.
And how did you hear anything?
Melody texted me.
She texted and tell you?
Mm-hmm.
What do you remember her saying about it?
She just said, she first said Gary was missing, and then she said they found him in a burn pile.
And do you remember what day exactly that she...
I don't.
If he was found on July 5th, do you know what day it was that she let you...
Probably the 4th. maybe. The day before, maybe.
But you're not certain of the date?
No, I'm not.
And that was basically all that she said to you?
Right.
And y'all, tell the jury, how often would you ever walk with her and share?
No, I never walk with them.
You basically just hang out with them, eat lunch a little bit?
They'd be at Cherokee Ranch and eat lunch, and we'd all went up there to eat lunch when we was working or whatnot. Yeah.
In the family, the Ferris family, who all did you interact with?
Scott and her's the only ones I knew.
And how much interaction did you have with Scott?
Just eating lunch and seeing him on the road at Tractor Supply.
And did you have any problems with Scott?
No.
Did y'all get along?
Yeah.
How about you and the defendant? Any problems?
Do what?
Did you and the defendant, Melody, have any problems?
No.
And did y'all get along?
Yeah, I thought she was just a good neighbor, you know.
Did you ever go to her house?
I went over there to pick up Emma a time or two. Yeah.
Emma's the youngest?
Right. She's my youngest daughter.
And did you ever go in the house or anything like that?
Inside the kitchen. Yeah.
Now, how many times do you think you actually physically stepped on their property?
The most 4 or 5 times.
How much time when you would go on the property would you spend there?
A few minutes.
Anything longer than 15 minutes?
No.
Now, what I want to talk to you about is you've met with us and talked to us, haven't you? And we've gone through your timeline to see where you were around July 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Did you remember that?
Yes.
What I want to do now is kind of go back through your timeline. I think on July 3rd of 2018, you talked about, were you working on some polo fields?
Yes, I was working on Post Road on the polo fields. Mm-hmm.
Just tell the jury about, on July 3rd, kind of your day, what you were doing, where you were at.
We were stripping grass off of a grown-up horse arena and putting down new footing, which is M10's gravel dust, and which that took us several days.
Now, what is that? What type of material is that? How's that
It's
different?
gravel dust. It's ground-up granite, yeah.
Where was this at?
Polo Fields is on Post Road that runs between Highway 20 and Highway 9.
How long were you there doing this job?
We were there about a week.
And on July 3rd, what would have been your kind of...
We usually went to work 8:30 to 9 and worked till 5 or 6.
And on July 3rd, afterwards, where'd you go? I think you went to a Mexican restaurant?
Yeah, I went to Piablo's up on 306 and met all my kids, actually. We had dinner.
Where is this restaurant exactly at? What city?
It's on 306 and 400 at the Publix restaurant up there.
All right. If you were standing there in that, looking at the kind of the mall, the place where Publix is and the restaurant, describe it to us. What would you see? You're standing there looking at the front door of the restaurant.
Hadn't been there since then, but it's to the left of the Kroger store. That's all I can tell you.
About what time do you remember y'all had dinner that night?
6-ish, 6:30.
Were you? I don't know if celebrate is the right word. I believe one of your oldest daughter just came back from the Marines.
My middle daughter just came back from the Marines. Yeah.
Were y'all celebrating or just having a time there?
Yeah.
Now, after that, where did you go on July 3rd? What time was that over and where'd you go?
Emma and I went back home.
You remember what time you got home?
Probably 8:30, 9.
And what'd y'all do that night?
Went to bed.
Anything out of the ordinary?
No.
Anything make you go, yeah, I really remember that and that was strange?
No.
So you were home. Your testimony is that on July 3rd, you were at your working in the polo fields and then at the restaurant and then home.
Right.
Were you on the Ferris property at all on July 3rd?
No.
Have anything to do with the property on July 3rd?
No.
Now, on July 4th, I think we kind of joked about, but 4th of July, obviously, you're getting up that Wednesday. I think you went to breakfast?
Went to breakfast, yeah.
Where'd you go? Was it Macedonia?
Probably went to, I can't remember if I went to Waffle House or if I went to Cherokee Ranch. Probably went to Cherokee Ranch.
If you said it was Waffle House earlier, would that have been a place you do go, the Waffle House?
Occasionally, not much.
And why would you go to somewhere like that on the 4th?
About the only place open.
When you went to breakfast that morning, was anybody with you?
No.
What'd you do after that?
Came back, Emma and I piddled around, and then we went to my other daughter's in-laws for a cookout that day. And we were there all afternoon.
Who was all there at the cookout?
All three of my daughters, son-in-laws, two son-in-laws, and one of the son-in-laws' parents.
And where was this at? And kind of, if you could play a video, kind of speak a video of what you saw there. Tell us what was going on the 4th at the cookout.
They were watching ball games, and we just sit around and they cook ribs and hamburgers, and wasn't a whole lot happening.
Was it outside, inside, or something?
Both.
And what type of food and stuff were you having?
Ribs, and they had hamburgers and hot dogs.
And again, whose house was this?
This was my son-in-law's parents.
And where's that at?
It was about 1.5 miles up close to the campground, past the campground actually.
Okay, and how far is that from your house?
1.5 miles.
And how far is your house from the defendant's Ferris's house?
1/4 mile.
So basically right there on top of each other.
Yeah, it's on another road, yeah.
And on July 4th, how long were you there at the cookout?
We were there till after supper.
What'd you do after that?
Went home. Emma and I went home.
Emma was with you?
Yeah. Oh,
Anyone else?
no.
Was Emma staying with, I guess Beth was your ex-wife's name?
Yeah.
Was Emma staying with Beth at all during this time? Or?
I don't think so.
Breakfast is free? Yeah, school breakfast is free. Every day for every kid. No signups, no hassle. Make mornings brighter with free school breakfast. Available at participating schools. This institution is an equal opportunity provider. Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
I don't remember. There was a time frame there she had her for a day or two, but that day I don't remember.
And when you were at your house on July 4th, did you ever leave after getting back to the home?
No.
Did you ever go to Ferris property?
No.
So on July 4th of 2018, did you ever step even a toe on their property?
No.
Did you ever get outside going to your house? Did you ever go down there close to their driveway or anything like that? Did you have anything to do with their property on July 4th?
No.
Now, afterwards, I think, did you meet Scott at some point after Gary was found murdered? Did you ever see him at a gas station later on?
Right.
Do you remember what y'all were talking about?
I just told him I was sorry to hear about what had happened to his dad.
And did he say anything to you that you remember that was out of the ordinary or anything like that?
No, not really. I mean, he was upset, as naturally anybody would be.
And we mean upset. What was it?
I mean, he was grieving over the loss of his dad.
Do you remember what gas station that was at and when that was?
It was a marathon up at Ducktown, I think.
Ducktown?
Yeah.
How long after the 5th, after Gary was found, was this? July 5th is when his remains were found.
I can't remember. It was a day or two. May have been a week. I don't know. That's been over 6 years ago.
Did he say anything to you that made you think it was odd or anything like that?
No.
Did you end up telling anybody that he said something? Was there anything that you recollect that he said that made you think, Scott has something to do with this or anything like that? Did y'all didn't have any problems, you and Scott?
No.
Well, sir, I wanted to make sure I clarify your relationship with the defendant. Were y'all ever romantic or anything like that? Friends only?
Friends only.
But you would talk to her, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Tell the jury about how often and how you would talk to her.
We talk frequently, just neighborly. I don't know how to explain it, really. I mean, there was no relationship or anything there. It was just a neighbor relationship, It just, there was a couple other, with Sherry, I talked to her and did work for Sherry. I never did anything for the Ferrises.
So you did some type of work for Sherry?
Oh, yeah, I did.
She like it?
Oh, yeah.
How would you describe your relationship with Sherry?
Just typical neighbor.
Fair to say you're a little bit closer to Melody than Sherry?
Do I now?
Is it fair to say you're a little bit closer to Melody, the defendant, than Sherry?
No, not really.
About the same?
Yeah, I mean, just typical neighbors.
Would it be unusual for you to talk to the defendant by phone or by text almost every day, or sometimes?
It was a possibility, yeah.
And we were able to go over some records from your phone to show that you were talking with her. Do you remember that?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And those, when we show you those, were those text messages, to the best of your recollection, fair and accurate messages between you and the defendant?
Oh, yeah.
Well, when law enforcement came to talk to you, they asked you about, did you know the defendant's phone number? Do you remember that?
I don't know. I didn't know it just right off the hat, but I gave it to him, I think.
Well, you gave them actually 2 numbers, didn't you?
Right.
Do you remember the first number for her that you had, or one of the numbers?
I couldn't tell you what the numbers were.
The 678-389-1987, does that ring a bell? How about the 678-592-9029?
No, I mean, I had her in the phone as Melody, and that was it. You know.
I think you had it as Melody, and then the other one is Melody Ferris. Is that right?
Right.
But you would agree with me that you had 2 numbers for the defendant in your phone. Is that yes?
Right, yeah.
And you agree with me that y'all would text and talk about things in her relationship or stuff going on with her and Gary and Scott?
True.
Did she ever express to you her frustrations she would have with Gary? Ever say anything about Gary?
Nothing, no, not particularly, no.
But some things?
Yeah.
How about Scott?
No.
Not really, Scott?
No.
Was she ever saying bad things about Scott?
No.
Ever saying she's angry at Scott?
No.
No?
No.
Ever saying that Scott was mad at her or mad at Gary or anything like that?
Never to me. Mm-mm.
So no issues that she would tell to you about Scott having problems with her or Gary?
No.
And did you really talk to Gary at all, or how much to do with Gary?
No, I knew Gary, but I didn't ever talk to him.
What was he like to you?
He was quiet. Only time I'd ever seen him was at the restaurant. Him and Scott would come and eat, and he'd speak, and that was it. You know, he was quiet.
Quiet guy? Was he quiet?
Yeah.
Cherokee Ranch, y'all eat there a lot?
Right. Morning, noon, and night.
There's on tender evidence now, State's Exhibit Braswell 1. It's a extraction report from Cellbrite that we've done.
No objection.
May I approach the witness? All right, Mr. President, we're going to show you. I'm going to get a computer. It's going to come up on the screen here, and I'm going to walk you through some of this stuff here. I know you've seen that. We asked you some questions about that. But if you can't see it or something, let me know, okay? When law enforcement talked to you, you cooperated with them, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
In fact, how many people do you know at the sheriff's office or knew?
Bob Post, Joe Satterfield, Broadus Ledford. I don't know right off.
You know a good bit?
Yeah.
Just from growing up here. Any
Right.
problems with the sheriff's office?
Do I?
Any problems with the sheriff's
Oh,
office?
no, never.
Were the detectives, were they nice to you?
Oh, yeah.
Did they threaten you in any way?
No.
Did they yell at you, scream at you?
No.
Did they have to use bad cop, good cop with you? Did they, from the best part that you know, was it a nice conversation?
Oh, yeah.
Were they gentlemen with you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Did you resist or try to hide anything?
No.
Did you give them permission to take your phone and download it and get all the information?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Where'd you have to go to do that and get the
To
phone?
the precinct in Freeholm.
Freeholm?
Mm-hmm.
Did it take very long? Do you remember?
Hour, maybe.
And when they took it, did they give the phone back to you?
Oh, yeah.
So a cordial interaction. This is the exhibit. This is a Cellbrite. So basically, they took your phone and got the information off. Is that
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right here, 404-683-1829.
Mm-hmm.
What's that number?
That's my phone number.
here on page 2 of 15, over here on the left, you see where it says from, and then it's got a melody, it's got a number right there.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Now we know the first number you dialed, then the area code 678-389. If that was the number you have, and it was in there as Melody, that's her number?
Mm-hmm.
The 1987?
I guess, yeah.
All right, so
I don't know which one was which.
October 10th, 2016 timestamp here, about 10:21 p.m. And so this is from her, looks like to you, and it says, does that say finally quitting, can go no more, finish in the morning? Is that what it says right there?
Yes, sir.
Let's see
Yes, sir.
that part. And then looks like the next message there, the 1829, that's your number? Probably help if I highlight it right there.
Yeah.
And then to the 1987 number for Melody, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you respond, is that dang it, girl?
Yeah.
And then same conversation, 10/10/2016, from the 1987 number for the defendant. Does it read, he wouldn't even go get me and Scott food?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now at about 10:24 p.m., you respond to her and you say, is this correct? You say, wow, maybe he'll get hungry one day and won't have anyone to get him any food. Was that your response?
I guess. I don't remember all of this, but it's there, so I guess I did.
Okay. And then October 10th, 2016, 10:26 p.m., from the 1987 number from Melody,
Mm-hmm.
the text was from her to you. My response to his fit he threw was, I hope you die alone in a gruesome death. You see that?
Yeah, I see it.
I wanted the full text to resonate as much as possible, but I needed to have the context for you guys. And I really feel like some of these texts were very telling. I also feel, and I could be very wrong with this, that it seemed like Melody was trying to set this guy up in case her and Rusty fell apart. So I feel like she was trying to groom him to be her next boyfriend if something happened between her and Rusty. Kind of set up the beginnings of an affair with him. And I could be wrong, but it's just the way that she talks to him in these text messages. How do you guys feel about that? Do you feel like it seems like she's trying to be kind of flirtatious without fully giving the flirtatious effect, or is it just my autism reading more into it than I should?
I see it. I don't remember that, but it's there.
So you don't dispute if they dumped your phone. It is what it is.
It is what it is, yeah.
And then you respond by saying, there you go, he's going to push you over the edge. See that right here?
I can't see that up there, but
if I make it bigger there.
is that on page 3 here? I can't.
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, there's your problem.
This is not on.
Screen's not on.
Let's turn that on.
Oh. I'll just read off of the paperwork.
That'll work. No, it seems to be flashing. Judge, I don't know if it's just...
Is it unplugged maybe down there on that part?
I'll look at it here and like, just show them on the document where it is. I'll show you that.
Was it up the whole time Shaw was here?
Page 3.
That's page 3.
Oh, okay.
All right, so that's it. Works different every time we use it. Start. So right there, and then we'll just go to page 3. We'll go right from there. Okay.
You think that thing's unplugged?
It could be. And if you can see that. All right, so let's go. You're page 2 there.
Page 3.
All right, page 3.
Yeah.
There you go. He's going to push you over the edge. You see that?
Yeah.
All right, that's your response, and then you see her reply to you. At 10:10, October 10th, 2016, 10:29 p.m.
Right.
I know, and that scares me. Told him finally to go where could not even see or hear him. It would be in his best interest. Did she say anything else to you about what he had done to make her feel like that?
No. I have no clue what it was other than didn't get nothing to eat.
Do you ever remember her saying anything else to you about hoping that he would die a gruesome death or be gone?
No.
And you go on, there's some more messages here, but did y'all ever talk about guns or anything?
Not that I recollect.
I grew up always on the bigger side as a kid. I was always slightly thicker, big boned. That really
Do you remember her asking you anything about guns or shots being fired in the neighborhood?
No. I mean, there's a guy that lived between where they lived and I lived that shot a lot. But I don't remember her ever per se saying anything about shots.
Let me see the RIF report. I'm going to ask you a question. There's some more text messages going on, but I want to ask you about specifically. Right here, this starting right here. See that? We're on page 15 of this report. Now, these aren't all your messages. These are just some, but I want to go to page 15.
Okay.
And 1829, so we got your number from you to her 1987 number, and there's a question. You see that you shooting? You see that?
Mm-hmm.
And then from her, she says, no, laugh out loud. That's on May 4th, 2017, about 6:26 p.m. You see that?
Yeah.
And then from you to her, the message is, you say, okay. See that?
Yeah.
And then on May 4, 2017 at 6:27 p.m., from her number, 1987, she texts you and says, I'm not that bad a shot.
Right.
Going to say between you two, you respond, laugh at LOL. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And then later on from her to you, same shooting as Saturday or Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, from her, the 1987 number to you, May 4th, 2017, 6:28 p.m. And she says, text, handgun, question mark. You see that?
Right.
Did y'all ever talk about guns or shooting?
No.
did you ever see her with 2 cell phones?
Yeah.
And when was that?
When she was walking.
And what would she be doing on those cell phones?
Carrying them. Sometimes she'd be on one.
Was she talking on one?
Occasionally.
Out of the 2 numbers, we've got the 1987 number. Of the other number she had, which one would she communicate with you the most?
I don't remember.
Now, did she ever talk to you about Rusty?
Yeah.
Tell the jury what she would say about Rusty.
He was I'm assuming a boyfriend that was in Tennessee that she had known for a long time.
Did you know his name was Rusty Barton or just by Rusty? Did you know his name just Rusty or Rusty Barton?
Rusty Barton.
Did she say how they met?
I think had known each other all their lives.
Did she indicate whether or not they were in a romantic relationship at the time?
Yes.
You kind of make that.
Yep.
I know you don't want to be here.
Oh, I know, but yeah, I'm telling the truth. Yeah.
What would she say they were? How long they had been in a relationship?
I really don't know about that.
She say where they would meet up sometimes?
Chattanooga, different places.
How often would they meet up?
Once a month at least, probably. Maybe more.
It was more than that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was, wasn't it?
Probably, yeah.
You knew she was going to meet Rusty during the week? Did you ever assist her in meeting Rusty or anything?
No.
Sir, I'm not saying anything ill about you.
No,
I'm just
I know.
asking. You understand I got a job to do.
No, I know.
Would you just ever ask her what's going on between you and Gary if you got Rusty on the side?
Wasn't in my business.
Didn't want to get involved in that, did you?
No.
How would she talk about Rusty?
They were longtime friends, and I guess just been in a relationship for I don't know how long. But
did you see her talk on the phone to Rusty?
I don't think I'd ever seen her talk to him on the phone.
Did you know she used that one phone to talk to Rusty with?
Yeah.
The other phone, not the main phone, right?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know which one was which.
Did you know that she would use one phone for him as opposed to using for a family?
Right.
Did she talk about Rusty in front of Sherry while you were there?
Oh, yeah. I mean, actually, that's how I found out was from Sherry.
Okay, so while I can totally and completely see that, he may have found out that Melody was dating Rusty Barton from their neighbor Sherry, who also happened to be a friend, I still feel like some of the stuff that Melody was talking to him about was outside of the purview of normal friends. Um, and hold on 1 minute, the kids are fighting. Sorry, I had to keep the kids from arguing. But I still feel like he knows a little too much about even her type of affair and the fact that like she had a burner phone for Rusty. Like this just seems really weird to me. As far as that goes. What do you guys think? Do you think that it's weird that he knows this much information, or do you think that it's normal for neighbors and friends to share that kind of information?
And How long had you known about Rusty? Do you
Pretty
remember what
much,
year it was when you first learned of him?
Pretty much since I met her. I mean, pretty recent after that.
What year would that have been?
I want to say 2016, probably. I don't remember.
Did you know about anything that she had on her person or anything because of Rusty? Anything to remember him by?
I have no clue.
She talked to you about anything that they would do besides meeting up?
Mm-mm.
Would she talk to you about it?
Not really.
Did you ever inquire at all about it in any way?
She sent me a few hunting pictures where he'd been hunting and killed a deer or something, but other than that, that's all.
Was he a hunter?
Yeah.
Were you a hunter?
Yeah.
I had that in common?
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever see Rusty in Georgia?
No.
Did you ever see Rusty at the property?
No.
Did you ever know whether or not he ever came down to the property?
Oh, I have no clue. I wouldn't know him if he walked in here today.
Sir, to be clear, I want you to look at this jury and answer this question. Did you have anything to do with the death of Gary Ferris?
No.
Did you personally get involved in it in any way?
No.
Did you help the defendant in any way?
No.
Did you go to the property at any time of this and do anything to aid or abet her in this?
No.
Did you even get close to the property on July 3rd, 4th, and 5th?
No.
Judge, you might just have a minute.
10 minutes.
Food here, yeah. That's all I have this morning.
All right. Lunch is here, so we're going to go ahead and break. So we'll break for an hour, start back at 1 o'clock.
All right. So today didn't have a lot that I could really commentate on, but I am going to hop off of here so that I can get dinner started and get the kids their baths so that by the time dinner is all done, we can just eat. I will not be on tomorrow, but I should be on Monday evening like usual. So I'll see you guys sometime between like 3 p.m. and 4 p.m. on Monday. Yeah, you know what, Chris? Rusty was kind of hot. I will give you that. But it just still seems really weird that she's talking to him about this much. Like, I do have some male friends that I'm very close with. We do have, you know, fairly private conversations, but if I was cheating on my husband, I wouldn't tell them about it. And some of my guy friends I have known since I was like 15. And I'm now 37. So I've known a lot of these people since I was fairly young. And so it still seems weird that she's telling him about her cheating and things like that. But maybe that's just me. I would love to talk to you more about it. Feel free to email me all you want about this, Chris. I love the feedback, so thank you so much. But I'm going to hop off. I'm going to hop off of here so that I can get the kids taken care of for the day. And I will see everybody again on Monday. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.